promo show. All the top tunes.
Hey, Mulligan.
What do you do? I don't know.
They get just what they get in the big house.
It's the Joey and Rory Show. This week's special guest, Ruby Lovett. This week's episode brought to you by Roper Apparel. Wear the West. And now,
America's favorite couple. At least the part of America that watches RFD. Here they are, Joey and Rory.
You've come to tell me something. You say I ought to know that he don't love me anymore, and I'll have to let him go. Well, you say you're gonna take him, but I don't think you can, 'cause you ain't woman enough to take my man. Women like you, they're a dime a dozen, you can buy them anywhere. But to get to him, I'd have to move over, and I'm gonna stand right here. It'll be over my dead body, so get out while you can, 'cause you ain't woman enough to take my man. Sometimes a man's caught looking at things that he don't need. He took a second look at you, but he's in love with me. Well, I don't know where that leaves you, but I know where I stand, 'cause you ain't a woman enough to take my man. Women like you, they're a dime a dozen, you can buy them anywhere. But to get to him, I'd have to move over, and I'm gonna stand right here. It'll be over my dead body, so get out while you can, 'cause you ain't a woman enough to take my man. Yeah, it'll be over my dead body, so get out while you can, 'cause you ain't a woman enough to take my
I love me some Loretta Lynn.
She's the best, ain't she?
I hope she's watching tonight. Y'all don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
He's a
Roper, Wear the West. This week on the Joey and Rory Show, a very special lady. Please welcome Ruby Lovett.
My name is Ruby Lovett, and I'm tickled to be here today. I'm originally from South Mississippi, a little town called Laurel. Was born and raised there, and my parents were older. My mother was about 51 years old, I guess, when she and Dad adopted me, and she encouraged me to sing. I started singing when I was 3 years old, and always sang somewhere every weekend at church, a bluegrass festival, gospel music singing convention, and lots of talent contests. And it was actually at one of these talent contests that I met a guy by the name of Jimmy Metz, who brought me to Nashville 22 years ago and helped me break into the music business. And I had a deal on Curb Records back in the mid-90s, and had the distinct pleasure and honor of working with a gentleman by the name of Alan Reynolds, who produced my album. Alan also produced Garth Brooks, Crystal Gale, Don Williams, just to name a few. And this is the studio where all that was recorded, where I recorded my CD. And I'm so glad to be here today instead of at my day job, which is as taking x-rays. I don't mean to sound ungrateful because x-rays afforded me the opportunity to stay here in Nashville and try to be in this business, the music business, which is where my heart is and where my passion is in singing and songwriting. And me and my friend Pi wrote this song for my dad, and I was able to sing this song for him before he passed away. And I also sang this song at his funeral, and that was probably one of the toughest things that I have ever done, but I was glad to do that for him. And it's called The Big Old Yellow Pulpwood Hauling Truck. I recall the day he bought it and drove it right up in the yard. He hollered for me and Mama to come see. And I smiled when I saw it. Daddy's eyes lit up with pride. He said, "Come on, buddy, I'll take you for a ride." It was big and it was yellow and it looked brand new to me. Lord, it was built for working hard, not for luxury. That big old yellow pulpwood hauling truck. It was one thing that he counted on, the one thing he could trust. Might not have looked like much or nothing to anyone but us, but I sure was proud to ride around in that pulpwood hauling truck. He'd be up come a Monday morning, long before the rising sun, cutting trees and hauling to the paper mill. And that truck never gave him trouble, never stalled out on the road, or broke beneath the weight of a heavy load. Well, he cleaned her up on Fridays when he got home from work, so it looked good for Sunday when he'd drive us all to church. And that big old yellow pulpwood hauling truck, it was one thing that he counted on, the one thing he could trust. Might not have looked like much or nothing to anyone but us, but I sure was proud to ride around in that pulpwood hauling truck. Now my daddy, he once told me, when his time on earth is up, he wants to drive on home to glory in that big old yellow pulpwood hauling truck.
Y'all come on in, sit wherever you want.
Some recipes just make your mouth start to water as soon as you say the name. And today's recipe is that way.
Today we're gonna do our barbecue ribs, which are the best barbecue ribs you guys will ever have. They're really, really tender. So basically what you're gonna do first is you're gonna grab a pan with a rack in it, like I have here, and then we've already put our ribs inside here. And then you're gonna grab, I'd say, what was it, 2 cups of water?
2 cups of water, just basically enough to fill the bottom of your pan up to the rack, but you don't want your ribs laying in the rack.
Right, you don't want the water touching the ribs and covering the ribs. And then what you're gonna do is you're gonna take some Montreal seasoning and you're just gonna cover them. And I like to do quite a bit.
Mm-hmm, that's so good.
And it's like a dry rub.
And what all is in the Montreal? You have your garlic and your pepper and your coarse, I mean, these are like coarse sea salt, so as chunky as you can get it.
Yeah.
But McCormick's makes a great brand that we like to use.
And it's really, really good.
Mm-hmm.
And so with our ribs, we don't add our barbecue sauce because a lot of folks come in and they say, can we get our ribs without barbecue sauce?
Mm-hmm.
So we bake them actually without the barbecue sauce. What's really important with the ribs also is you're gonna take 2 sheets of aluminum foil and you're gonna put them on top of the ribs. just like that. And then you're gonna put them in the oven for, I'd say 350 for 5 hours. I know that seems like a long time, but it's gonna be so worth it.
Well, that's what makes them so tender.
It really
You have
does.
the water in the bottom, you put them in the oven, you bake them for 5 hours, and that steam is what comes up. And that's why you wanna layer it twice with aluminum foil, because
Right.
that steam really is what works it down.
Yeah, and you guys are gonna love them. They're so, so good.
Well, one of the sides that we serve with our ribs is our loaded baked beans.
Yes.
And these are fantastic. So I'm gonna show you guys how to make these. You can either start with a can or two of baked beans that you can purchase through the store, or if you wanna start with some dry pinto beans, and that way you know exactly what's in your beans.
Right,
And
you
then
don't
you
have
add
a lot
all
of
this
the
stuff.
seasoning in it. Yeah.
Absolutely. So go ahead and dump your beans in here after they've soaked overnight. And then we're gonna go ahead, we have bacon already crumbled and fried up. We're gonna throw in about a cup of that. A cup of your sausage that's already been baked.
These are great, great baked
Great dishes.
beans.
Now, Marcy likes to do her
I
onions
do
and
mine,
peppers
yeah.
this way.
I like to season my onion and green pepper in a saucepan, you know, just season them a little bit with some garlic pepper.
That way they cook down a little
Yeah,
bit too.
that way they cook down a little bit. But, you know, you can just add them just like that, too.
Well,
That's
you
fine.
have 5 hours for your beans to
Yeah.
get done, your ribs to get done. I put about 2 tablespoons here of your brown sugar, a little bit of barbecue sauce, which you think barbecue sauce and baked
Yep.
beans, a little bit of Worcestershire sauce, about a tablespoon there. And then you're just gonna cook these down, get them nice and tender, and they smell delicious. And this right here is a meal in and of itself, absolutely. Well, today we've got some friends in here who helped us with the Josephine music video. They helped us get all the costumes for the period clothing, and we're gonna have them here come up and taste these ribs for us. So Tammy and Katie, come on up here. Katie, this is a daughter, and this is the mother. Tammy, come on up here closer so we're all together here. Tammy was actually the nurse in the Josephine video. I'm sorry, Katie was. And then you helped us find all the clothing. So that was such a fun time to get all that together. Now, do y'all prefer to have a little bit of barbecue sauce on your ribs?
I'm fine without it.
With or without, okay?
One with and one without.
And whatever barbecue sauce you prefer, it really doesn't matter. Everybody has their own, you know, sometimes people make their own too.
Let me find a
Get
fork
some
down
forks, and then we've got some beans over here that are nice and piping hot on the wood-burning stove. We'll have you guys taste this and see what you think. These girls worked so hard during that shoot that day.
Now, these ribs you can find here at Marcy Jo's in the winter, actually.
Yeah,
No, it's in the summer. It's in the summer.
We have these on Tuesdays, and then
Yeah.
also Friday
Friday
night.
nights,
We have
yeah.
our catfish and ribs.
Yeah.
So,
So tender.
how do you like those?
Aren't them good?
Oh, yeah.
Well, good. Well, thank you guys. You guys take those over to the table with you and finish those off.
Thank you so much.
Well, there you have it, folks. Our barbecue ribs and our loaded baked beans here at Marcy Jo's, where we're changing lives.
One bite at a time.
My wife come in the house the other evening and said, "Wynn, the car won't start. I think there's water in the carburetor." I said, "What are you talking about? You don't even know what a carburetor is." She said, "Well, I'm sure there's water in the carburetor." I said, "Well, let me check it out." I said, "Where's it at?" She said, "It's in the pond out there."
You go from rags to riches, farm to fame, from digging ditches to the whole world knows your name. You'll stand in the spotlight till the light goes dim, and it's rags to riches, to rags again.
It seems like a couple of times each year, our music will take us to a place that we never dreamed we'd get to go. And on this trip, we found ourselves heading to the land of the Vikings to play some shows with one of our heroes, Dwight Yoakam. We landed in Oslo, Norway, and stayed in a beautiful hotel near the Centrum Auditorium where we were playing. We had the first day off to get over our jet lag, and we used it to look around the beautiful city. Our daughter Heidi and our manager Aaron were with us, and we had a great time taking in the sights and eating wonderful meals. When it came time for our first show, we weren't sure if the folks over there would know our songs or even understand the words, but when we hit the stage and began singing, it became clear that they loved country music just as much as we do. When our show in Oslo was over, we found a place in the back of the concert hall and we had a ball watching Dwight and his band play. Joey and Heidi were beside themselves, dancing and singing along to every word of each song.
You've got me running in again, saying nothing
Wow, that's over.
Now we get to play again with them tomorrow. The next morning, we hit the road and made our way through the mountains and fjords to a place in Sweden called High Chaparral. What an amazing place it was.
That's Big Bang, the founder.
Turns out that one man, about 30 or 40 years ago, set out to build an amusement park there to show some of America's history to the Swedish people. We didn't know it, but the people there said that in the 1800s, about 1/3 of their population migrated to the U.S. looking for work and a new life. So this man wanted to show the people what life was like for their ancestors who left their homes and moved to America. Besides building this big amusement park, this man built building upon building to store his huge collection of motorcycles, typewriters, boat motors, airplanes, and of course, old cars, which I love. The amusement park was unlike any we'd ever seen back home. We did an outdoor concert there, and again, we loved watching Dwight play.
The next morning, they asked us if we'd come sing at a church service in an old historic chapel there. And since our faith is so important to us, and it was a Sunday, we jumped at the chance. I thought we were just going to be singing a few songs, but it turned out that without me knowing, Rory and our manager Aaron surprised me, and we renewed our wedding vows right in the middle of our show.
Out there in the world, as Joey and Rory perform all over the world, people wonder if their love is true. And there's many people that say it's not. It can't be a love like that, and it truly is true. They love one another so greatly, and they're such a testimony to all of us. So today, we gather together to see these two joined in holy matrimony again. Rory, in front of God and all of these people, and now pronounce your husband and wife. You make this bride.
Aaron had been Rory's best man in our wedding, and Heidi was one of my bridesmaids, so it was perfect. That particular day was Rory and I's 10-year wedding anniversary, and I can't begin to tell you how special that day was for me. The whole day was magical.
Once again, much too soon, our time in Norway and Sweden was over, and we made that long journey back home. But with us, we carried beautiful memories of that week that we'll treasure a lifetime. My daddy bought 5 acres high upon a hill, and he went there every evening when he got off at the mill. He cleared the trees and brush away, leveled out some land. Then he dug a hole and poured a slab with his own working hand. Then he showed me a picture of a big house in a book and said, when we get her finished, son, this is how she gonna look. Then he buckled on his tool belt and grabbed a 2x6 and said, you gotta frame a sturdy wall before you ever lay a brick. He was hammering nails in our foundation, building our home up good and strong to stand the winds of life's temptations. He built our house with a hammer and a nail. We worked with him on the weekends till our muscles hurt. And then Mama'd come and get us and take us all to church. And she read us from the Bible about Noah and the flood, about John and Paul and Jesus, and how he washed us in the blood. And she was hammering nails in our foundation, building our home up good and strong, to stand the winds of life's temptations. With every story she'd tell, she was a hammer and a nail. They raised us well with a hammer and nails.
Can you believe all the wonderful places we get to go to together?
It's amazing. We're sure blessed.
Now planning our day around the TV set, paying our bills and staying out of debt. That's important to me. That's important to me.
Don't forget about what's most important to you.
I'm Joey.
And I'm Rory. Tune in again next week. Same place, same time.
Closed captioning for The Joey and Rory Show, generously provided by Quilter's Warehouse.
Milkhouse
Media. It's The Joey and Rory Show, now available on DVD, in color. 13 episodes of real country music.
And one blew his and hers.
You'll enjoy down-home cooking straight from Marcy Jo's kitchen.
Yeah, stuff it just like that, which is beautiful.
It's pretty.
Special guest artist.
I realize what life is all about.
Tell my man I have to let you. Glimpses into their daily lives.
From right here, I get to see my bride's garden right in front of us.
And more. Call now, and you'll also receive the never-before-seen on TV Farm to Fame pilot episode.
I know my Rory. He's probably hard at work. At playing.
It's all about the form.
For $59.95 plus shipping and handling, you'll receive all 3 discs of The Joey and Rory Show, Season 1, with bonus material. Call 1-855-325-5269 to order now.